and welcome everyone to our latest Agile Boston podcast. I am Joe DeAngelis, and I am here with a longtime friend of Agile Boston, Joel Foner, who is an executive coach and team consultant. And Joel is going to be presenting coming up on May 27th, 2026 at noon time. And his presentation is called, and I love this topic, Are Your Smarts Making Your AI Dumber?
I'll admit to a marketing hook. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you like it.
I love it. I love it. So Joel, before we get started, for those who don't know you, let's take a moment and introduce you to the community.
Sure. So I'm Joel Foner. I often say I've been in the business long enough that I say 15 plus years so as not to scare anybody. I've done a lot of stuff. I've been a network engineer, application development, project management, Agile for years. And over the last some number of years, pivoted a lot towards psychology, communication skills, conflict resolution. It's all team development stuff and communication stuff, often working with Agile teams, sometimes not. And what I found is when I jumped into doing AI stuff, I all of a sudden realized, wow, I'm using some of the same skills that I built in that other world to work with AI. And when I talk to people how they're using AI, it's really different. And so I started trying to figure out, what am I actually doing here and how does it work? And ended up putting together something that looks kind of like a method. It's not a how-to, but it's a, how to think about it so you can get better results.
And that's fantastic. And the timing is perfect because at Agile Boston this year, kicking off with Give Thanks for Scrum this past November, our focus is on AI. And our theme is essentially, you're not going to lose your job because of AI. You're going to lose your job because of your refusal to use AI effectively. And so I think the method that you're putting together is fantastic. And again, it's perfect timing.
Cool. Great. And yeah, I came up with a more full title that's actually called Co-Thinking with AI. Are Your Smarts Making Your AI Dumb? Okay. And that's sort of a tease of that's really what this is about. A lot of people think of AI as, it's like this is an office assistant, tell it to do something and it brings something back. And this is actually about how to co-think with your AI system, which is a kind of different center point.
Yeah. So what kind of stuff have you been doing with it lately? Developing this method?
Sure. So I want to give a little bit of a level set of where you get to with this fairly quickly. My biggest problem now is not creating usable output. I'm creating so much stuff that's usable is I had to figure out a whole way of cataloging and organizing it because I was getting avalanched in the stuff I've been creating.
It's a good problem to have.
Right. And actually this whole workshop came out of some other work I was doing on communication skills and conflict when I realized, oh, you know what? I'm using consistent patterns in how I'm working with these AI systems. And believe it or not, the AI systems helped me to identify the patterns. So there's this sort of meta thing going on. But so a lot of this is about rethinking the idea of it's a fancy Google search, which I know a lot of people have talked about. You type a Google searchy kind of question, you get an answer. Or if you're a software developer, I want to build a blah. Please build a blah. And it'll give you a statistically averaged result of all of its training in the output. But what if you treat it like you're working with a person, like we're working together to try to put something together? I wouldn't just launch into, hey, Joe, could you write a thing for me? Right. It would be, hey, here's where we're starting. Kind of, what do you think about this starting point? Oh, okay, so let's go exploring here. Let's go exploring there, come up with a thing and figure out, okay, did we land in a place useful or are we way out in the woods? And some people would say, yeah, you're burning tokens. You don't need to. But I want to tie this back to the Agile stuff, right?
A little bit. Yeah, for sure.
What we're hearing a lot in the industry about agents and specifications, it's back to waterfall. come up with the perfect specification and burn a million tokens and you'll get what you want.
Right.
But for years in this business, we learned that that's just not the way humans work.
No.
And so that's what I'm doing, is sort of putting the best of both things together to try to come up with better results. And I've frankly been stunned because some of the things in the programs I'm building were spontaneous observations by an AI system as we're doing the work.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I just had a very similar experience where I felt that it was almost like the best pair programming I've ever done
Uh-huh.
with an AI. But but it wasn't, hey, AI, develop this. It was, hey, I have an idea, and let's talk about how we might, implement this idea.
Right.
And let's bounce ideas back and forth together. And then when we agree, you and the AI and me, let's go ahead and write the code and let's see what happens.
Right.
And
Right.
it's a lot of experimentation and feedback and the empirical process sort of.
Yeah. And actually, what I was just flipping to here is, I don't know if this would be a good, yeah. So I sometimes do transcripts of coaching sessions, and always with permission and all, and do some work with it. And one of the typical things I might ask about a coaching session, I have a standard template for stuff, but do you have some comments on thoughts on what you see in this transcript in terms of how the team seems stuck in what I think of as somewhat bureaucratic solution mode?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a typical give me the answer to.
Right.
And it's also, it reads really wandery, right? Like I'm just giving it stream of consciousness stuff. One of the things I've discovered is, yeah, they're language models. We create a huge amount of nuance in how we talk to people that's not really obvious on the surface. Right. And that if you bring that to an AI system, it will actually infer a whole bunch of stuff that is important information about what's going on. And here's the really, for those of us who are like Scrum Masters, coaches, whatever, the reverse is happening too. I'm learning more about coaching teams and people from putting together this stuff with AI. Because it turns out the techniques for making this work with AI, they're the same techniques that we use with people. That's sorry for being so excited about this, but I think it's pretty cool.
I think it's pretty cool. And it's a really keen observation too. And it's only something you can really get by trying it and seeing it and experimenting.
Yeah.
So I'm already got goosebumps and excited about the story you're going to give in May. Why don't we tease it a little bit? Talk a little bit about what people can expect to get from the presentation.
Sure. So for starters, there is actually sort of a five move framework, and I'm calling it. Given our community, I almost hesitate to use any word like framework, methodology, whatever. It's like, so forget the word. I didn't say framework. So there are 5 moves, right, that are useful things to know about while prompting. I want to make really clear, this is not the classic prompt toolkit. Copy this text and paste it. It's more of a, here's how you can move through the session to end up where you need to get to. And so that's one part. And also some pieces about how to validate the output. Because we all know, I'll back up a step. They say AI isn't human level consciousness yet.
Right.
But, you ask an AI system a question, it'll give you a confident, authoritative answer if it knows the answer. And if it doesn't know the answer, it'll give you a confident, authoritative answer. How different from human is that?
I'll tell you the one way it's different. Every time I gave it feedback or I gave it an idea, it always told me I was right. So off, I said, wait a minute, this is
right. Right. So this actually ties into it, though, right? Is this one of the bits and pieces that we'll be talking about, this idea about positive and negative prompting. It was a great comment because, just like with people, you get a very different answer if you ask, do you like this versus what don't you like about it? Right. And so being able to take those different stances as you're prompting will really bring a lot more. And so what I'm really going through is a whole bunch of these kind of stances for how to think about the work as you're doing it in bits and pieces. So,
it's interesting you said that. Do you think there's some part of clean language that is in the prompting?
It's funny you mentioned that.
No, it's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah. So as for those who don't know, I have a lot of background in clean language and psychology.
Right.
Yes. And actually, both Claude and ChatGPT, when I sort of, at one point I was thinking, I just used a pattern there. I wonder what it was, but I'm not quite sure. Both of them said, yeah, you're very careful not to over specify and steer my answer in a way that wouldn't be useful, which basically is another way of explaining clean language.
That's exactly right.
So it is part of what I'm doing. Is I'm starting with as much of a clean slate as I can. And then when I'm prompting, I'm not pretending I have the right answer. I'm giving suggestions and nudging the balloon because I want to be surprised by what it might come up with. So
yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. So we're really looking forward to having you, Joel.
cool.
And like I said, it fits in perfectly with our theme for this year.
Great.
And again, Joel will be presenting at noontime on Wednesday, May 27th I just said at noon. And we have all of our monthly meetups on the fourth Wednesday of every month. So Joel, thank you for accepting our invitation. If you can't make the talk live, we'll certainly post it up on our YouTube channel. So for everyone out there, if you haven't subscribed to our Agile Boston YouTube channel, please do that. If you like the video, especially if you like Joel's presentation, hit that like button. And also join us on our LinkedIn channel, which is also called Agile Boston. We will be presenting anytime we post up to YouTube, or anytime Joel or others want to contribute, they post it up there so you can get all the latest information. So again, Joel, thank you. And we are super excited about seeing you on May 27th.
You're welcome. And I might or might not bring a favorite friend.
You should. You should definitely have that.